Merman and Barnacle Boy, unite!
When you're alone in the dark, are you scared? Fear. Aaron, scare out. Aaron, scare out. When you're alone in the dark and you're thumping the night, just put on this podcast for a good fright. Aaron, scare out. Aaron, scare out. Aaron, scare out. Let's scare out. Fear.
What's going on, ladies and folks? And happy Halloween. I guess it's going to be a little earlier than Halloween, but Halloween season. If you're watching the video, you can see me in my fantastic Barnacle Boy garb. If you want to see the full body, I'll show you. This is, if you want to see the full costume, you either have to wait till I post Instagram pictures or check out the video on Spotify or YouTube right now, listeners. Yeah, a little bit of a sexy Barnacle Boy, am I right? Ooh. I got these shorts, they were large on Amazon, thinking that I'll just get some normal shorts, I guess. I won't do the whole tight spandex yoga shorts I talked about a while ago. And, well, Amazon delivered. These bad boys are high. I've never had shorts this short, which, I'll be honest, they feel fantastic. I got such great mobility. I'm gonna be so agile at this party. I'm gonna be moving around so quickly if we play any games. I got the speed. I'm ready to go. But yeah, this has really come together. The hat, goggles, and shorts cost me $100 on Amazon. And then I was gonna go thrift shopping to find a shirt and like a blue handkerchief or whatever and some gloves. I'm like, I can't spend any more money on this costume, so I'm just buying stuff around the house. I already had a shirt. Used a pillowcase. I had to text the group this morning like, is this blue? Can I use this? Is this shirt red? Is this good? And then I just gotta find some blue dish gloves. We hit up Walmart before the party on Saturday. But I like how this came out. I think it's very obvious who I am. Excited to see Ethan's Murray Man come together. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But welcome to the Halloween episode of Aaron Air Out. We're actually gonna do a little more of a Halloween-y episode than we did last time. If you watched the video, I made a new intro for the Aaron Scare Out intro. Same intro from last year Ethan made. But this time we got a video portion for it, so glad to get that done last night. And recording this a little earlier, get up for Friday, hopefully. So if you're getting any Halloween festivities, this will put you in the mood beforehand. Other than that, yeah, we did some research on this one, found some ghost stories, found some urban legends we're going to talk about, a little bit of a spooky episode. So soon we'll set the mood, turn off the lights, and we'll get into that. But first, couple things we got to get off the list here. Number one, it's a very sad week. It's a very sad week. There's a man we talked about when I talked to Ethan, episode 55. We talked about the world's dirtiest man. And I'm very sad to say that, hold on, I'm pulling up the article right now. The world's dirtiest man has passed away this week. He died, I think, on Tuesday. I just got the news. I got the news from a Reddit meme, which is like an unfortunate way. I think someone said, it's like, world's dirtiest man dead. And then someone replied, so this guy spent his whole life getting no bitches, and then someone replied to that. They're like, yeah, you shower and you still have the same result. And then I found out that he's dead. And when I realized when I dyed the mustache, you can really see the gap in my lip there. That's insane. Yeah. So he died at 94 years old, and here's the kicker. So the man thought that bathing and like cleaning yourself was gonna introduce like sickness and infection into him, and that's why he never showered. And he died a few months after his first wash. I guess the villagers there were like feeling bad, feeling like, hey, we're gonna clean you up. We're gonna give you a bath, get all this soot all scrubbed off you. And he died a few months later. The man went over 65 years without showering, and the bath killed him, which is, he was right the whole time. They should have listened to him. This man's a genius, absolute genius. And let me see, I can find some fun things. In 2014, the Tehran Times reported that Haji would eat roadkill, smoke a pipe filled with animal excrement, and believed that cleanliness would make him ill. Photos showed him smoking multiple cigarettes at once. But a few months ago, villagers had persuaded him to wash for the first time, Erna reported. After Haji's death, the unofficial record could go to an Indian man who also had not bathed for much of his life. Very disappointing to hear. I thought I was in a chance for the running, but I mean, I'm only on like 4 days without showering right now, so I gotta bump those numbers up, kid, if I really want to get in the running here. Let's see, what's this Indian guy got going on? Kailash Kalu Singh from a village outside the holy city of Varanasi had not washed for more than 30 years in an attempt to help end all the problems confronting the nation. He's doing his part for sure. He's like, I'm not bathing till every man and woman is rich. He would reject water in favor of what he called a fire bath. Every evening as villagers gather, Kalau lights a bonfire, smokes marijuana, and stands on a leg praying to Lord Shiva. That's the man I can get behind. I'm glad he's taken over the record, and I would love to go smoke a bowl with him outside of fire. Take a little fire bath with him, smoke a bong. Man, I'm coming for you, Kalau Singh. So, yeah, that was very disappointing news to hear at the start of this week. And honestly, other than that, that's the only thing I'd written down for this intro. I wanted to show you guys my costume, and that the dirtiest man is dead. But other than that, we are going to hop right into the topic real quick here. We're turning around super fast. We're getting into this topic is actually suggested by Sanna after, lifelong fan of the podcast. Thank you, Sanna, for listening. And for this suggestion. This episode is all for you, dedicated to you, Sanna. So she said it's just me right now. I should look into, like, the history of paranormal stories. Like, where do ghost stories come from? And, how does that happen? So I'm like, that's a great idea. And it's kind of a thing where, like, facts don't really matter. So I'll just, like, theories and, stories and tales. So I can just, a lot less pressure and feeling like I'm telling the truth. It's just, everything's made up anyway. So whatever, it doesn't matter. So, real quick musical interlude. We're going to get right, I'm going to set the mood. And then we're going to get right into some spooky stories. So, look forward to that, folks. All right, ladies and folks, welcome back from that very short break. So this week we're going to start with the origin of ghost stories. Let me just rip over this Word document right now. So, yeah, we're talking all about ghosts and spooky things in this episode. So let's just get right into it. There is a widespread belief that ghosts are composed of misty air or a subtle material. Anthropologists link this idea to early beliefs that ghosts were the person within the person, most commonly as a person's breath. So if you think about, like, exhaling in the cold, they thought that was your spirit coming out of you. That kind of, that misty, cold breath. The stories are typically connected to those who never had a proper burial, and it's all tied to respecting the dead. So if you think about all these old stories, it all comes back around to, like, I think humans just are always thinking about imminent death. Death is always coming. We got an obsession with it. So there's ghost stories of, like, life after death, tons of stories about, like, the afterlife, going way back to ancient cultures. And even think about now, like, zombies would be like an unrelenting force that's kind of like representative of death. It's always coming. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's a fact of life. So there are 5 key features to a ghost story, and this is all just depending on, like, English spoken ghost stories. I didn't look too much into, like, other cultures because I speak English, so I stuck to what I know. And you already saw how I butchered the names of these guys in the dirtiest article, so I don't think you want to hear me read through that. So the 5 key features of ghost story were identified by author M.R. James in 1929. So here's what they are. Number 1, the pretense of truth. No one cares about a ghost story if it's not real. You want to have you want to believe that's actually happening. That makes it more spooky to yourself. A pleasing terror. So it is, I think it's like that obsession we have with it, where, like, it scares us. We want to keep hearing more because it's so strange and obscure, and that fear, like, draws us more into it. No gratuitous bloodshed or sex. I think that's kind of a thing of the times. That was in 1929. Really, in, like, when the Gothic era came around and Gothic popular fiction came around, that really changed. And now, if you watch, like, horror stuff now, there's a lot of bloodshed and a lot of sex. But in older times, there's just ghosts, banging around, making some noise, trying to spook you. No explanation of the machinery. It's just ghost did it. That's the explanation. Ghost did it. We don't know. There's no other way that this event could have happened. It was just the ghost. That pot fell off the shelf because of ghost, not because of anything else. And then the 5th is the setting, and it has to be in the writer and reader's own day. Reading about ghost stories way in the past, it has way less an effect other than hear about a ghost story, like, right now that's still occurring. So that really draws you in and lets you, like, set yourself inside the story even better. So those are 5 key features to a ghost story. We'll go through some ghost stories coming up later in this episode, and see if we keep these 5 things in mind. See how much they've changed over the years. So some early examples of ghost stories include the spirits of the dead, which is mentioned in Homer's Odyssey, that was written in 8th or 7th century BCE, which I just so happen to have a copy of Homer's Odyssey, not the original. This is a reprint, unfortunately. Couldn't get my hands on a hard copy written by Homer himself. But yeah, like I said, a lot of stories of like the afterlife and the underworld. I think every like ancient religion, like the Greek gods and all that, Hades, all have the underworld and spirits of the damned living down there. So, I mean, ghosts and spirits have been around for so long. As well as the Old Testament, not to be confused with the New Testament. The Old Testament that was written and compiled between 1200 and 165 BCE. So, both of those include tales of ghosts. The first haunted house was included in a play, Mostelleria, by the Roman playwright Plautus. He was a good buddy of this next guy we're going to talk about. In the 1st century of the Common Era, so this is like around 50 CE, the great Roman author Pliny the Younger, which maybe that name sounds a little familiar if you're a fan of the podcast. We talked about Pliny the Elder in the Did People Stink podcast. He talked about how the Romans would use rose water to like cover up the smells. So I'm assuming Pliny the Younger is his son. One would assume. I probably should look that up, but whatever. So Pliny the Younger recorded one of the first notable ghost stories in his letters that he was writing to his friends and family. He reported that the specter of an old man with a long beard and rattling chains, which that's still the same ghost we go to. Ghosts just love chains, apparently. They just love the noisiest thing they could have, where every little move you make makes a sound. They have to have it. Was haunting his house in Athens. And then Plautus was his buddy, and he wrote that play based on, I believe, Pliny's story. Mostelleria, that's fun to say. Later in 856 CE, the first poltergeist, if you don't know, is a ghost that can like manipulate physical objects and make noise in our world. Real dicks, honestly, based on all the things I've seen about them. They just cause a ruckus. They just make noise. They cause a mess. They hate you having a clean house. They're just like toddlers throwing tantrums throughout your house the entire time. It's a real pain in the tuckus. So the first poltergeist was reported at a farmhouse in Germany. The poltergeist tormented the family by throwing stones and starting fires. That seems like a very common thing we're going to see coming up in future stories. And incoming no snort. Yummy. So those are some early ones, but the earliest recorded was just found not too long ago. The earliest recorded ghost sighting may be contained in a 3,500-year-old tablet made in ancient Babylon. So when you look at the tablet, it appears blank. There's some sections with writing, but there's a big like blank section on the tablet that they thought there was nothing on it. But then when they shone a light on it, it shows like the ghostly figure of two men standing on the tablet. And on the tablet itself, the writing that's on it actually contains instructions for getting rid of ghosts. The directions call for an exorcist to make a figurine of a man and a woman, as well as 2 vessels of beer. Then, speaking in Mesopotamian, they perform a ritual at sunrise to transfer the spirit into the figurine. Not sure what the beer's for. Like, is it just for the dude to get a little sauced up while he's doing it? It's kind of a boring thing. Or is the beer supposed to be like a gift to the ghost? Like, hey, if you hop in this body, you get a little booze. The final, speaking in Mesopotamian, they perform a ritual at sunrise to transfer the spirit into the figure. I got it. The final line reads,
"Don't look behind you."
And it's unsure if it is directed towards the spirits entering the underworld or the exorcist himself.
Don't look behind you.
So the stories began pretty tame and then evolved in the 18th century, like I said, with the rise of Gothic fiction. Things like Frankenstein, Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde, all those kind of dark stories. And I think like even Stephen King now is like American Gothic. So it's like set in a modern setting with like some twist of unease and like something is not right here. Which, again, setting a writer and reader's own day. So that's kind of the background. That's like the old, ancient ghost stories. That's where they kind of come from. They've been around with us for forever, for a long time, because people have always been dying. So then people always just assume, it's the common question: what happens to who you are after you die? No one knows the answer to. So you start, what do we do as humans? We create stories to try and make sense of it, and try and understand better to make ourselves feel better. So let's now talk about some famous ghosts. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of famous ghosts out there. The most famous ghost in England dates back to the 16th century. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII and mother of Queen Elizabeth I, was executed at the Tower of London in May 1536 after being accused of witchcraft, treason, incest, and adultery. Oh, the fatal four. Honestly, treason you get killed for. I thought incest was like pretty normal back then. Adultery, I guess, is only allowed if men do it. I think, is it only adultery if a woman does it? Like, I don't think they cared if, like, King Henry VIII is definitely banging other broads for sure. Witchcraft, that was the number one charge, which is funny, and then treason, incest, and adultery. Yeah, so she was a bad girl, I guess. Well, based on their account, maybe she's probably a pretty nice person. This dude wanted to get just nutting someone else. Just had to get rid of the old ball and chain, you know. Multiple sightings have been reported at the tower, as well as other locations like her childhood home, Hever Castle in Kent. Great childhood home growing up in a castle. Fantastic. In America, a founding father is a common ghost sighting. Old Benjamin Franklin. So starting in the late 19th century, Franklin's ghost was spotted near the library of the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia. Some reports claim that the statue of Franklin in front of the society comes to life and dances in the street. That seems a little like obscure to me though. Like I feel like Benjamin Franklin's dancing, a statue steps off his podium and starts, you know, jazz handing in the streets, doing the Charleston. I feel like more people would have seen it. You know, that feels like one guy kind of made up the story. Maybe a drunken guy saw just someone dancing in the streets. He's like, holy shit, that guy looks just like Ben Franklin. So that one's a little far-fetched. There's other ones in this podcast too that are gonna be a little far-fetched, and I'll be sure to highlight my what's the word I'm looking for? My non-belief in it. I don't know what the word is. It'll come to me. Another American historical figure is also a common ghost sighting. Honest Abe Lincoln. Killed in April 1865. I'm sure we all know that story. Went to a play and got shot in the back of his head, just trying to enjoy some art. He's commonly seen wandering near the old Springfield Capitol building, as well as his nearby law offices. In the White House, multiple first ladies, queens, and prime ministers. Strange to me that they did not mention presidents. It's just first ladies, queens, and prime ministers have reported seeing it, but no president ever saw it. That's maybe Abe doesn't want to, like, the man's got a busy job, he doesn't want to bother him, so he's gonna hide from sight from the president. He feels like a little remorse for them. It's like, yeah, it's a tough job. You saw what happened to me. You know, just can't please everybody. So they report seeing the ghost or feeling his presence, especially during the Franklin Roosevelt administration, while the country was going through another period of turmoil. What was that turmoil? Didn't look it up. I don't know, so someone can tell me. I can look it up right now, actually, 'cause I feel like I'm just ripping through this right now. Franklin Roosevelt. Take your guesses right now. What was happening? Was it slavery? It could have been slavery because Abe Lincoln ended slavery. Was it the Great Depression? 1933 until his death in 1945. World War II. That makes sense. And was the Great Depression before or after World War II? Or it was after World War One? Great Depression. Really showing my historical knowledge right now. 1929 to 1939. So yeah, he had the Great Depression into World War II. So yeah, I would say that counts as turmoil. And Abe Lincoln, he felt bad for him. He's like, hey man, yeah, I had to deal with the Civil War. You gotta deal with this crap. I feel for you. I'm just gonna go scare your wife real quick, make it a little harder for you, but I'll leave you alone in your office. Yeah, so there's a couple of famous historical figures that have been haunting the world. And now let's talk about some haunted places. Ooh, spooky. The first one I wrote down here was the cruise ship, the HMS Queen Mary, built in 1936, is a particularly active paranormal center. So the boat was used by the British Royal Navy in World War II. So it was built as a cruise ship, and then I guess when the war broke out, they're like, hey, yeah, we need this big boat for our troops. So they sent it over there, and then it retired in Long Beach, California in 1967. Go Leafs go. The ship was planned to be used as a floating luxury hotel and resort. Since its retirement, there have been 50 reported sightings over the years, including unexplained sounds and voices near the bow, where a doomed British aircraft cruiser, the Croaca, something like that, struck into it in a wartime accident, killing over 300 sailors aboard. Many guests report seeing a phantom crew member in blue overalls walking the decks, as well as this ghostly crew member. Which, I mean, what are the uniforms right now? Are they just seeing like a normal dude walking around in blue overalls? How do they know it's a ghost? Like, does he look dead or any of that stuff, or is it just dude in blue overalls? It must be a ghost. In the ship's pool, reports have been made of mysterious splashing and ghostly women in old-timey bathing suits or dresses, along with, God, I'm so bad at writing punctuation in these. It says, I just wrote it, and then reading it back, I see all my mistakes. You wouldn't believe how many little red squiggly lines there is under every single word in this Word document. Yeah, so they saw old women splashing around and dressed in their dresses and bathing suits. And then also, after they drained the pool, long after, they saw wet footprints going around the perimeter of the pool, like someone had been swimming. Again, the wet footprints, you're not selling me on that. I feel like, non-dead people can make wet footprints too. It's not just ghosts. And I feel like if it's where the pool was, there's probably things that produce water, so it would be likely that your feet would get wet. So, just being a cynic here, I guess. Just debunking paranormal places in America. New York. Guess what? It's loaded with paranormal activity, if you couldn't guess, based on the topic of this podcast. Mark Twain is said to haunt the stairwell of his village apartment building. And also, I really should have written down more details on this. This is why I'm not a history podcast. You could watch a 10-minute history video on like any of these individual stories and be way more informative than me just ripping through these. Just bang, 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 bang. I wrote 3 pages. I needed more. I needed way more. Mark Twain is said to haunt the stairwell of his village apartment building. That's it. That's all I wrote. Poet Dylan Thomas is said to inhabit his corner table at the White Horse Tavern in the West Village, where he drank a fatal 18 shots of scotch in 1953. And that's the craziest part to me, is that 18 shots of scotch is fatal, because I've definitely drank more alcohol than 18 shots of scotch. What was this? Has a shot like evolved since 1953? Was it bigger back then? But like, a shot is what, an ounce usually, or is a shot usually 2 ounces? I feel like it doubles 2 ounces. So 18 ounces of scotch, he died. Whereas I've drank a 2-6 in a night, and I've drank beers on top of that. I've drank way more than that. Maybe if you just went bang, 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 like straight back, I could see it happen, but I feel like you'd vomit before you even died. Yeah, so I only wrote that one down because of the 18 shots of scotch being fatal. That's, I'm sus on that. I'm claiming, fake, debunked. The most famous ghost of New York has to be that of Aaron Burr. I'm not gonna wait for it. The vice president of Thomas Jefferson, and most nobly known as the killer of Alexander Hamilton in 1804. Speaking of Hamilton, that play, inspired my inspiration to look into American history. It's pretty badass. There's a lot of cool shit that happened. It was such a short time ago. If you haven't seen Hamilton, highly recommend it. Great musical. I still have a bunch of Hamilton songs on my Spotify that I'll tune into. They come up randomly on shuffle. Burr's ghost roams the streets of his old neighborhood, also in the West Village. A very haunted place, the West Village. You got Dylan Thomas and Aaron Burr. He commonly visits a particular restaurant. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. That was once his carriage house. What is a carriage house? Because I only know as a carriage. I feel like that means a garage. A carriage house. What is a carriage house, guys? A carriage house, back in the days when automobiles were not widely used yet, carriage houses, also commonly called coach houses, are infrastructures built by the wealthy separate from their main homes with the sole purpose of storing their horse-drawn carriages and other related equipment. It was a garage. I was right. It was just a garage. Why would he be haunting his garage, though? I feel like, would his house not be nearby if that was his carriage house? He's not is that where he'd go out to drink and his wife was getting on his, what was that chick's name in the song? Theodosia was just getting on his nerves. I'm gonna hang out at the carriage house, have some booze. There's his man cave out there. Yeah, so he haunts that restaurant because he gets his car there. I was reading that as a fact. So I wanted to talk about I have a ghost story of my own. So when I was in my first house, where I was brought to as a baby, in Barrie. I remember I had this Winnie the Pooh poster in my bedroom, and the way we had our bedroom set up is I was on one wall and my sister was on the opposite wall under the window, and between us was this Winnie the Pooh poster. Had like there's like a path going back up into the poster, and then there's Pooh on it, Owl, Piglet, you know, all those characters. And I remember very particularly one night in specific, but I think there was multiple instances where like our dad came in, said goodnight to us, and like turned off the lights and then left. And then I remember looking at the poster and seeing Pooh like walking around and blinking and like walking up and down the path and just telling my sister like, do you see this? And she's like, yeah, I'm seeing this too. This is crazy. And then we're like both start screaming. My dad comes back and turns the lights on. And we're like, the poster's alive. The poster's alive. Dad is moving. He's like, you guys are full of it. It's just dark out. You guys are seeing hallucinations. Your kids, whatever. You know, just go back to sleep. Turns off the light, leaves. Same thing happens. Winnie the Pooh starts walking around. He's looking at me. He's blinking. It's freaking me out. It's terrifying. And then so we scream again. Dad comes in and he's like, fine, I'm gonna take this poster down. I don't know what happened to that poster, but that poster never went back up. I bet if I asked my sister about it to this day, she'll remember that haunted Winnie the Pooh poster. And that's like really my only ghostly experience. And I think I could just chalk it up to like it being dark and me being a kid and just like, you know, my eyes not really adjusting to the darkness yet and just seeing stuff. But I was, in that moment, I was terrified. Terrified that Winnie the Pooh was gonna like crawl out of the poster like the chick from The Well in the Ring and just, I don't know, stick me in a pot of honey and just eat me up. That's Tigger though. What does Pooh say? Oh bother. Oh bother with your life. Yeah. So that's my haunted story. If you guys have any ghost stories, I should have asked you for that before this podcast actually, and then I go to share some viewer haunted stories. But maybe next week. Next week's episode we're planning. I'm hoping, since we're gonna have all the boys in town, it'd be fun to have like a little group podcast. Since the setup was a lot easier with Ethan, just doing 2 man on 1 mic. So that's the hope. That's the hope to get that going. So now we're on to the third and final page of my research. Urban legends in Canada. So the plan was to do like ghost stories and then like go into like, if I didn't have enough, which I don't, get into like werewolf. Where did the werewolf origins start? Where did the vampire origins start? And then I was like, well, I'm just gonna find some urban legends in Canada, some local things, since I know the 15 of you that listen to this are all in Canada, so you actually recognize these places. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Lady in Red that haunts Toronto's Lower Bay Station. So in 1966, the Toronto Transit Commission opened the station while experimenting with routes, but they later realized that if the route ever suffered a delay, it would slow down the entire system. This station is absolutely... I don't know why they didn't realize that until after they built it. You'd think that would have come up like in the planning phase. You know, in 1960, I guess in 1 year later, though, they're going to have a big year. Exciting, I guess. But back then, probably big years all the time with hockey teams. 1967, the Leafs were the last time the Leafs won the Cup, if you were unaware. So 6 months later, after they realized that, it was shut down. They then built the current base station on top of it, and there's a red door connecting the two that's only accessible by workers. So pretty much the only people that can go down there are workers, and it's been used as like a stage and like for movie productions. We'll go down there because it's an empty platform. You can kind of do whatever you want down there. A lot easier than have to deal with the general public, who usually suck. So numerous workers have claimed to see a lady in red wandering the tracks. Witnesses claim that she has no legs and black holes for eyes. She lasts for about 30 seconds and causes cold spots across the platform, as well as drafts in areas where there should be no airflow. Rumors are she was either a ghost of a traveler who fell on the tracks, though there's no record of a woman dying on the tracks down there. This is 1966, by the way, so it's like pretty strong record keeping. Or a spirit from Potter's Field Cemetery that the city had to relocate. Well, they failed to relocate when they started beginning the construction of the subway system. So that is the first story. I'm going to create a little ghost right here. Dude, if I ever became a ghost, I'd just be like, hey man, you got any nick? It'd just be, instead of throwing stones and stuff, I'd just be throwing vape cartridges and bongs all around. Like, I want some. Dude, you need to get better weed. That'd be me haunted. I'd be the chillest ghost, honestly. I'd just be sitting on the couch watching TV. I'd be doing nothing. I wouldn't be trying to scare people. I'd just be hanging out. Just be like, it probably gets pretty lonely as a ghost too, you think? Like, do you think ghosts get to see other ghosts? Is there like a spirit world that's just a layer behind our world that they all get to hang out in? But I feel like ghosts seem to usually be like an independent person. It's pretty rare that there's like a large number of ghosts all haunting the same place, like hanging out, having a good time. They always seem pretty vengeful too. I should look up stories of like nice ghosts, ghosts that did good things and fun things. But let's keep moving on. So we're gonna go to 1908 now. There were multiple cases of headless forms being found in northwest Nahanni Valley. So when I say northwest, I mean the Northwest Territories. So the Nahanni Valley is about 500 kilometers west of Yellowknife. Some believe these findings were a result of the Wahila, which is a giant wolf-like creature that hunts in packs of 2 or 3. About 44 bodies have turned up missing their heads, this one might have, there's something weird going on in the Nahanni Valley. Whether it's ghosts or not, 44 bodies without heads turned up. These included a prospector whose cabin burned down in 1917. I don't know why that guy's so important. And an unnamed miner who was found lying still in his sleeping bag in 1945. The miner's a weird one. Like, either he died in his sleep and then some animal came and just ate his head, or why would he be so peaceful if he got attacked and got his head cut off, or someone just snuck up at night and there's just some dude with an axe running out there just chopping heads. The valley has been appropriately named the Headless Valley. I'd like to go check out some haunted places. I'm a chicken. I'm terrified. I like horror movies, but whenever there's the music starts building up and there's something scary coming, I turn the volume off. And I've also come to the habit of going to the website Where's the Jump to find out all the jump scares in a movie, just so I can prepare myself and see how many jumps, because jump scares are worse. I'm cool with a spooky atmosphere, but just the gimmick of just jump scares, just loud noise, spooky face. I hate that. I hate that sudden, oh my god. But the feeling of being scared, I like, and I like that when they just create this uneasy atmosphere within the movie that makes you super uncomfortable, like Hereditary and Midsummer, recent horror movies I saw. They're pretty popular. Both, they did a great job of not relying on jump scares to scare you. Also not a big fan of the extra gory movies, because that's just it's not scary, it's just yuck. It's just a little gross. I don't want to see people's insides. I want their insides to be insides and their outsides to be outsides, So that's 2 of the stories: the Wahila in the Nahanni Valley, the Headless Valley, as well as the Lady in Red. Here's a more recent one. In 2018, 2 families relaxing on the shore of BC's Lake Okanagan report seeing a mysterious black form rise out of the water. It was described as a 50-foot-long snake-like creature, and after the first sighting, 3 weeks after the first sighting, 2 more people saw the same thing and believed it to be the legendary Ogopogo, which is such a non-scary name for a monster. A giant snake is the Ogopogo. That's a fun word to say too, Ogopogo. Say it right now with me. Ogopogo. The first modern record of it came in 1972, but local native legends, I feel like local native is a little redundant there. I could have taken out the local part. They predate them by many years, the local natives, as opposed to the non-local natives. I've been talking about the Ogopogo for a long time, although they called it the Naha-Itk, N'_HA space A space ITK. I don't know how to say that word. Naha-Itk. A long creature with humps and a horse-like head that rises out of the water during storms. So that's what people believe it is, although scientists came out and they believe the creature to be a primitive whale that shows itself more often in the fall when boat activity in the lake has died down and the water is cooler. So it could be a giant snake monster with humps and a horse-like head, or it could be a whale. One of the two. You can believe in that. But I think BC is taking on, a lot of these local places kind of take on the, they go on with the monsters. They got Ogopogo statues and they sell merch about it and all that stuff. We have in Barrie, in Kempenfelt Bay, there's the famous Kempenfelt Kelly, which all these lake monsters look the exact same. Looks like the Loch Ness monster, whatever, either a big snake or a big whale body with a, what's the long Nechosaurus head, whatever, the Brontosaurus head. They're all, I think Kempenfelt Kelly is the same, fits into that regard. Yeah. Next up, we have the Cabbagetown Tunnel Monster. which was first spotted in 1978. A 51-year-old man entered a tunnel by the Cabbagetown neighborhood of Toronto while searching for a lost kitten. He walked about 10 feet when he spotted something move. He pointed his flashlight and claims to have seen a 3-foot-tall, monkey-like creature with gray fur and glowing eyes. The monster said to him,
"Go away. Go away."
And the man ran. After some convincing from his friends, he talked to the Toronto Sun, and he and a reporter found the cave and entered it once again. They found a perished cat in the cave and nothing else. They predicted that the tunnel led to Toronto's sewer system, although no other sightings have been reported. My theory on this one is that it was a homeless dude living in the cave. He probably saw him squatting down. The orange eyes, probably when he's showing the flashlight on it, and his eyes reflected it, and they just, like the red eye removal that you have to get on cameras back then. I don't know. No one else saw it. I think it's just a homeless dude trying to eat. Maybe he's eating cats down there. I don't know. Maybe that's the weird part. Some just feline feasting down in the Cabbagetown tunnel. So I don't know. But if you're ever in the Cabbagetown neighborhood, go find this cave and see if you find the Cabbagetown monster. And don't bring your cat with you if you plan on going. And finally, we've done very well. Done very well here. In 1830, John MacDonald refused to sell his land in Baldoon, Ontario, to an old woman. Afterwards, his family began experiencing eerie footsteps and phantom rocks being thrown. They marked the stones and threw them in the river to get rid of them, only for them to be found back at their property later that day. Fires spontaneously started all over the land until the entire house went up. They moved next door, but the haunting still continued. 26 people claimed to have witnessed some of these occurrences. The family sought help from a young girl able to read stones. And at first I thought she was reading the stones with the markings on them, but I'm like, well, they wrote the markings on it. Why can they not read their own markings? And now I'm like, is she just like looking at rocks and just reading it? Is that her ability? And how do you find a girl that's, able to read stones? I like gaslighting people. That's a good lie. Just be like, yeah, I can read these rocks. It says you got to give me your lunch. Yeah, it says 2 beers, please, and 2 figurines. She told MacDonald to shoot at an unusual goose with a black head that was seen wandering around the property. Don't a lot of geese have black heads? Or at least there's black on their heads. Like, I guess they're black and white, but I didn't think a goose with a black head would be that crazy, especially in Ontario. There's geese all over here. So MacDonald did just that, and he shot it in the wing. He then followed the injured creature, and it led him back to the old woman's house, where she sat with a broken arm. So this one seems to me that like the guy didn't sell his land to an old woman, and then maybe she got some of her family to like, hey, let's torment this guy, see if we can get him to sell the place. And then when he still wouldn't sell the place, they're like, all right, fine, we're just gonna burn it down because he wouldn't sell it to us. And the whole black goose thing feels like, I don't know, maybe she was feeding the goose and that's why it returned back to her house. Maybe that whole thing is just gobbledygook. But yeah, that one's I don't know how much I buy that one. But anyways, that's everything I wrote down here for this spooky edition of Air in Air Out. I'm obviously gonna have to fill you in with some outro stuff. So let me hit pause on this podcast. We'll get the lights back on because it's getting a little hard to see in these speedo goggles. And then we'll get right back to it, and I'll be here for you. If you're scared, I'm here for you. Maybe if you need a little hug, if you need a hold, I'm here for you. I'm always here for you, airheads. I'm always here for you.
Music, come interlude.
All right, I'm back. I just realized that my costume's falling apart here. My little bandanas has come apart. My pillowcase, and there's some unfortunate stains on this pillowcase that I'm gonna have to clean off. Some collateral damage from an activity taking place in this bed. A singular man's activity, to be clear. There's been no one else in this bed for the entirety of the 12, 13, it's just too tight, 14 months. So yeah, it's gonna need some scrubbing before I wear this out in a public party. I'm worried though with these shorts going on. This party is a real sausage fest. I might be getting groped here. My butt is looking good in these shorts. It's exactly what I wanted to highlight, but it's like, they're planning on getting real lit at this party. They want to make it a full send. I'm gonna be the sober guy there, or at least sober in the sense that I'm not gonna be drinking alcohol. But there's the weed break is coming off on Saturday, so we plan on going to that. We'll get some nicotine to balance it out and keep the energy levels up. Because if I just smoke weed all night and everyone else is drinking, I'm going down, they're going up. It's gonna be a short party for me. I'm going to bed at 10:30. But yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of dudes, and I feel like Chris is gonna get really drunk. He's gonna see this tight little butt in these yoga shorts, and he's gonna want to put his barnacle on this boy. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta be on my toes for that. I gotta keep my wits about me and not. I gotta treat Chris like a big cat and just don't put my back to him. Maybe I gotta get a little mask on the back of my head so he looks like I'm always looking at him to keep him at bay. And speaking of Chris, we mentioned Muay Thai Mondays last week, and we there a second one. Look at these. Look what I picked up. We're getting legit now. We got some gloves of our own. I've been using. Chris and I just been sharing gloves because one of us wears pads and the other guy's punching. But putting on Chris's sweaty gloves after he uses them it's a little gross. Just getting the close stench all over my hands. So yeah, I picked up some of my own, and that's also I think it's gonna encourage me because I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a great workout. My body is very sore right now, especially my wrists. I don't think I wrapped them hard enough. So like when I was punching, like my wrist was not, it wasn't locked in place. It was probably breaking in some places. So I gotta get better at wrapping my hands. My forearms are sore, but it feels really good. We only do like a 40-minute workout, and it's super intense, but it's a lot of fun. It's a fun way to work out. And it's also like kind of encouraged me to get back into other forms of exercise. So I'm like, I want to increase my punching power, and I want to increase my cardio so I can just go longer, which means I got to get back to the gym. Maybe I got to start going for some runs. I got to get back to exercising. And I kind of get like obsessed about things. If I find something I'm enjoying, like when I first got into working out, I was just watching YouTube videos on workouts constantly. Like always, like, I want to do this in the gym. I want to do this in the gym. And now I'm like watching like Muay Thai fights. I found this thing called Lethway. Which Lethway, I guess if you don't know, Muay Thai is like, it's like a stand-up fighting. There's no on the ground. If someone goes down, you gotta get up. And it's all like punches, kicks, elbows, and knees. So it's like you can do a lot of damage. A lot of stuff happens like in the clinch too. You pull a guy in close and you're just giving him the bodies, kneeing him, elbowing him, hitting him in the face, all that stuff. And Lethway then takes all that and also adds in headbutts. And it originated in Myanmar, and it's supposed to be like the most brutal stand-up sport. So I've been watching like stuff on Lethway, and I mean, first off, when I did the first Muay Thai Monday with Chris 2 weeks ago, it was immediately like apparent how much I would have gotten my ass kicked if I got in a fight with someone who knew a little bit of anything. Because I'm terrible. Like even just you got to keep your hands up, protect your head. Chris said it's like kind of like horse blinders. Just keep your hands up here. Always protect your brain. And just I'm constantly hands falling down, or like, not pulling back my punches, just throwing a punch and then leave myself wide open. Like I had no idea what I'm doing. Fighting like felt so uncomfortable. I was just like, oh well, I'm kind of a big guy, so if I did get in a fight, I could just use my size and just like push myself onto somebody, and then just like kind of not know what I'm doing, but just like out scramble them and just hope that I'm way heavier than them and I'd survive. And then other than that, like I said, most of the time I'm just gonna run away. But yeah, now learning how to fight is I kind of want to treat it like my university degree. I'm glad I have it, but I'm fine if I never use it. And like I'm not out looking for a fight. I'm not an aggressive person, but like if I ever came into a scenario where I have to defend myself, I'm like I'm very happy that I know some stuff, and I still don't know very much at all. And it's fun. That's what I can say. It's a lot of fun. If you've never taken a martial art or anything, you're looking for like a new way to exercise. Getting into New Year's soon. You've got to start thinking of some New Year's resolutions. It's never too late, never too early to start a New Year's resolution. Start now. Start now. I introduced yoga this last year, and I think next year is gonna be Muay Thai, or I got boxing gloves. Maybe I can go into boxing and stuff too. But just like some kind of fighting. It's a lot of fun. It's a great workout. And it's even just like being able to do it with Chris, having another thing that Chris and I can do together before I leave. That's a lot of fun, getting to spend more time with him and Andrea. They're the ones hosting the party. If I didn't mention that, and you can kind of see my computer screen. Look at that. You can see the camera in my eye. Oh, I can't figure it out. There it is. Interesting. That's you guys. In my eye. Oh, that was too tough. Barnacle boy. Yeah. So I bought boxing gloves. Other than that, the week hasn't been too exciting. Not a whole lot going on. Still working on that Japan what's it called application. I've got my references all sorted out. Just waiting for one more reference to get back to me. But she's traveling to the United States to like early November, so it's gonna be a couple weeks until she can get my reference letter to me. But I got one letter all packed up. I'm like halfway through my essay, and it was super relieving. I think it was just last week I talked to Neil. Neil is the guy my mom met that introduced me to the program. And I was like asking him like, hey, I don't have any Japanese experience. I don't have any teaching experience. Like I feel like my application is lacking in that sense. And he's like, that's completely fine. What your background is like not super important. What they're really looking for in their applicants is someone who's gonna like really take part in this experience and like really, enjoy it to the fullest and is really looking forward to it and like doing it and exploring a new culture and like taking everything in. And they're not just gonna like go and just like, hey, yeah, I got a job, it's paid for, and I'm just gonna hang out in Japan while I pay for my apartment or whatever. It's easy money. So I feel like I'm definitely that kind of person. Like I want to do weekly wanders out there. I want to explore everything. I'm a yes man. I'm trying not to dislike things, so I'm trying to just be open to things and like step out of my comfort zone. So I feel like if I can just translate that in my essay, and then if I can get in a room with them, that's the key. I've never failed an interview. If you guys remember for those early podcasts, I'm 22 for 22 on interviews. Besides my very first one, that was kind of fake. I'm not counting it on the official record. That was like a preseason interview. So if they can get me in a room and I can like sell myself and talk to them, person to person, I feel like I got a great shot at it. So fingers crossed. Here's hoping. I'm very excited for it. It's such a crazy transition I never thought my life would take, from quitting my job, thinking I'm gonna go into stand-up comedy, then end up working at a golf course, and then thinking I'm gonna go be homeless driving across Canada, going to the West, and then to end up potentially going to Japan for a year. It's nuts. And now I'm thinking like after Japan, I'm having a lot of fun with the whole golf course thing. So there's like a turf management program in Guelph, and I'm like, it's a possibility that I could go back to school to do that and try and spend more and more time at golf courses. Obviously, the only problem with that industry is you got to find winter work as well. But yeah, it's very cool. I went from having like on this path in my life with a stable job and like not liking it and not liking how my future is just this job, to like save money, buy a house, and live my life that way. To now having like two very possible, like either Japan or the golf course program, like both are very possible things that could happen to me, and I'm very equally excited about both of them. So, like no matter what way it goes, I'm gonna have such a cool next year. So it's like a great place to be, and I'm feeling very proud. Coming up on my 28th birthday, I said this year was gonna be Aaron 2022, and it has been. I've lived up to it. I'm enjoying this podcasting stuff. I'm enjoying the video editing. The sketch it's coming out on Tuesday. I just need to like bump up some audio and add the credits, and it's done. But the video's pretty much done. I showed it to Ethan and Martin. They were both laughing and loved it. So I'm excited for you guys to see it. My first, I guess it's my first kind of sketch. I did that spaghetti thing, but that was more like I don't know. I'm not really gonna count that. That's just more like a single joke I wanted to share with you guys. So this is a full 3.5 minute sketch from my brain. And I guess seeing what your response is to it will determine what comes next, what kind of sketch I'm gonna do next. I got a long list of ideas, and I'm obviously gonna have to take advantage of living with Ethan and Martin while I have it, and then also when I go back home, living in Bering, I have a lot of free time, so I'll have to start filming stuff by myself and getting that stuff going. But try and build up this channel a bit better, because right now it's just podcasts, and podcasts do not really grow an audience because no one wants to click on an hour-long thing to watch a dude in a barnacle boy costume quickly read through a bunch of facts he got off Wikipedia and history.com, So we're going to have to, find better ways, more enticing ways to draw people in, and then maybe they find the podcast. If they enjoy my personality, then maybe they can branch out and they want more Aaron, and then that's the way it's going to go. But either way, I'm still sticking to this YouTube thing. I'm enjoying it. I love the creative aspect of it. This week I've done, more stuff, and I haven't really watching a lot of TV shows and that. Ethan and I did start watching Sopranos since we finished all our biopics on Mike Tyson and Monica Lewinsky. So we were looking for something new to watch. We were like maybe Yellowstone, maybe Peaky Blinders. And then Ethan mentioned Casino,
just watching the movie Casino, but it was already like 9 o'clock at night, and that's like a 3-hour movie. So like, okay, we can't do that. And then I was like, oh, how about The Sopranos? And neither of us had ever seen it. We both kind of know the ending of it already, but knew nothing before it. So we're just 3 episodes in now. It's fantastic. It's a great show. I can see why it was such a hit. Hopefully we've only been able to watch like 1 episode here or there, so we gotta get through 6 seasons before December. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do to get through that, but I think coming up when my work schedule is gonna start lightening up, we'll be able to crank out like 2 or 3 episodes in a night. 'Cause they're not super long. They're like 45 minutes, so you can easily watch more than one in a night. So yeah, Sopranos has been a lot of fun. What was I talking about before The Sopranos? I don't remember. I have a second sailor hat too. I should probably, I'll bring this to the party, see if I can get a little Barnacle Brock Star. Chris. I'm excited to see everyone else's costume too, actually. I only know what Ethan's going as. I don't know what Will said that his costume is gonna upset Chris and Andrea, and I'm like, what is it gonna be then? What could it possibly? He's not gonna do something like, well, it would have to be some kind of pet peeve, and I was like, is it gonna like make a mess of their house, and that's why it's upsetting, or is it gonna be like, I jokingly said like he's just not gonna show up. He's gonna like, I'm a ghost, I'm not there, woo. You're upset because Will is notoriously late. Chris is not notoriously late. He's a timely man. He loves to plan. So yeah, I'm excited to see Will's costume. And we got like 16 people going now. It's a bunch of couples still, and then a bunch of single dudes. So if it's not going well, I'm just gonna have to strut the streets in this I'm gonna know what the feeling is like, Sunday morning, doing like the walk of shame out in my little slutty Halloween costume. It's gonna be an interesting experience. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then Sunday night we get to watch Halloween Town, which is we're in the Halloween season, which I'm loving it. We're carving pumpkins tomorrow before game night. Going over to Chris and Andrea's, carve some pumpkins. I was thinking I wanted to do something with a mustache because I have one, and it's it's going away next Tuesday, which is gonna be very sad. But I was thinking maybe I'd do the Pringles man on a pumpkin. I think that'd be a lot of fun and like kind of simple. It's like just pretty much just eyes, mustache, mouth. So see if I can like find a little template or something and then do that tomorrow. That'll be cool. I'll be sure to get you guys some pictures. Yeah, other than that, I don't know what else we got going on here. It's like all I can say is life's been really good. I'm really enjoying life right now. I'm feeling great, and it's definitely correlated with not smoking weed, and you're probably groaning that I'm going to get back to smoking weed, but it's like, get back to it. I still enjoy it. Like drinking, I don't enjoy. I do not crave it. I don't want it. I don't want to break my 400 plus day streak. I have no interest for it. But weed, there's the relaxation and the clear mind it gives you, and it does help you process things. I think of jokes better when I'm on weed, and I think of, like video ideas, and it's worth it to me, and I enjoy it, and I think it's going to be something that's with me for my whole life, but it's just I got to get a better handle on like keeping it contained into small packages to make it, and I enjoy it more that way. So when you do it like 5 days in a row, it really loses its luster, and you're not getting much out of it. But if I can just be like weekends only, or the occasional weeknight if I'm gonna watch a movie or something, just keep it to those scenarios. I think it's a good way to treat it. Like Chris smokes weed more than any of us, and he's the most successful out of anyone. He's got a house, a girlfriend, he's making 6 figures, he's got a golf simulator, he's got it all. He's just got a new car. Like the man's living life, and he's a huge stoner. So obviously it doesn't ruin your life. It's all about how you use it. So yeah, that'll be fun to get back into that responsibly. Hey everyone, drink responsibly this weekend. No airheads drinking and driving, you hear me? Take Ubers, take cabs, walk, bike, run. That's probably it. Scooter, not electric scooter though, just a manual razor scooter. You gotta be pushing that leg. Oh boy. Yeah, honestly, other than that, I think we're just gonna call it here. It's getting a little late. I don't think I'm gonna have time to edit this bad boy tonight, so hopefully you're hearing this on Friday. I learned Friday night is not a good time to upload the podcast. No one listens to a podcast on the weekend. Everyone listens to it at work while they're doing something else. So try and get out Friday morning before your Halloween festivities, and it's also going to be available Monday, for actual Halloween. So hopefully that goes well. I don't know. I was kind of hoping that this episode, since I can hashtag it like Halloween and ghosts and stuff like that, maybe it'd catch a little more traction on YouTube like the Acid Trip episode did. But honestly, right now, I'll give you my dead honest opinion. I feel like the ghost story stuff was pretty weak. I feel like I didn't do a good job on that, and I could have researched it better and just done fewer stories more in depth than a bunch of stories not very in depth. So that's my immediate stance on it. If you guys did enjoy it, please let me know, because I'm probably gonna lose some sleep over this and feel bad about it that I wasted an opportunity for a relatable podcast. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my costume. I'm excited to, we'll get some pictures of everyone at the Halloween party that you guys will be able to see. And send me your Halloween costumes too. Let me know. If you got any ghost stories, let me know. Other than that, thank you for listening as always. Next time you hear me, I'm going to be a 28-year-old man. I'm going to be wiser. I'm going to be more aged. It's going to be like a fine wine coming on this podcast. So yeah, looking forward to that. And looking forward to another fun year coming up. I don't know why I'm speaking that like this is a New Year's episode. We're just going to November. But yeah, whatever. Thanks for listening, Airheads. It's been real. Aaron out.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Now take what you learned and have a great day. Damn, it feels good to air out.